welcome to HITC Sport, and how are we doing, lads? Who is excited for the World Cup? Well, I hope you're all excited because I'm not going. I mean, why would I go? Ireland didn't qualify. It would be a bit like turning up to a wedding I wasn't invited to. Although, to be fair, that didn't stop James Corden last weekend. In what world do the royal family think,
oh, I know what this historic day is missing. The fat guy who sings ABBA with his shirt off.
Honestly, I'm convinced that man just turned up because he heard they were handing out free sandwiches. Anyway, enough on that. I hope you are looking forward to the World Cup because I'm going to be smashing the World Cup videos every single day, and it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me dead. So take your last look, lads, because it won't be pretty. Anyway, listen, we all know Gareth Southgate has picked some controversial choices for the England squad. I'm less confident about Danny Welbeck in front of goal than I am about living past 30. But let's take a look at a squad of 23 made up of a bunch of players that were so lucky to have made international tournaments dating back to, let's say, the 2002 World Cup on. Rob Green, 2010 World Cup. Remember the 2010 World Cup? An England squad were boarding to South Africa, and Fabio Capello still didn't have a clue who his #1 goalkeeper was. Sounds familiar? Maybe if you spent a little less time banning ketchup and looking like Postman Pat, and more time studying his goalkeepers, he wouldn't have been forced to choose between a 40-year-old David James and a man who couldn't catch chlamydia in a Vietnamese brothel. You can almost pinpoint the exact moment where his England career snaps in half. Ian Walker, Euro 2004. Lads, do you bother coaching goalkeepers in this country at all? Like, Ireland don't produce much, but I think we had you beat in the goalkeeping stakes about 10 years ago. In Portugal, England brought 3 goalkeepers who just finished bottom 5 of the Premier League, and 2 had been relegated. Because that's what you want. A bunch of goalkeepers who just seen about 4 goals fly past them every weekend for the last 9 months. Scott Carson, 2006 World Cup. I can already hear the Derby County fans coming for me in the comment section below. Oh no, not Derby fans! Don't beat me to death with your sheep balloons. But back in 2006, Scott Carson was a worthless piece of shit. Christ above, you'd swear he'd ran over my dog and ate it for breakfast. He didn't, he was just a very average bench warmer at Liverpool, who was 1 year off doing this. Clearly he'd been spending too much time with Rob Green. Danny Mills, 2002 World Cup. Danny Mills was in the 2002 World Cup. Am I the only one thinking that man is the definition of average?
Of odds in the first half penalty incident.
I don't know what he's waiting for. Someone to kiss him better. Get the f back into position. Don't just stand there evaluating whether or not you should retire and become a milkman. I mean, the answer is probably yes, but do that later. Glenn Johnson, 2014 World Cup. Oh no. It's the sound of Glenn Johnson's army of fans coming for me.
How dare you bully Glenn Johnson? Glenn Johnson is our god!
Lads, if Liverpool won the league in 2014, it would have been in spite of that man, so don't even start, alright? Ledley King, 2010 World Cup. Okay, don't strangle me in my sleep. Don't know why I'm telling that to my wardrobe. I know Ledley King was a good player. Very good, alright? Great player. But here's the thing. If your toaster starts malfunctioning and starts spitting flames, crumbs and spunk out the top of it, there was a reason it started malfunctioning. Do you then decide to jam your bread inside? No, you chuck it in the bin and tell yourself to stop robbing kitchen utensils from the homeless. Ledley King was that broken toaster. You might as well have dragged out old Finton from the nursing home and chucked him on the pitch against the USA. If Ledley King was a racehorse, or even old Finton once his family stopped visiting him, he'd have been brought out back and shot in the head. Is that not how it goes down in nursing homes? Also, before the tournament, he played about as many times for Capello as my dead hamster. So it was really a bolt from the blue. Did Capello not realise he was effectively wheeling out a man that his knees were held together with sticky tape? Matthew Upson, 2010 World Cup. Gary Cahill, 2018 World Cup. Okay, Gary Cahill, maybe I'm being a bit harsh to include him here. He did just win the FA Cup. But you could make a case for Chris Smalling, James Tarkowski, Jamal Lascelles. I admit this one is a bit harsh. Michael Dawson, 2010 World Cup. Yeah, so is this one really. Michael Dawson, the Tottenham defender at the time, but not the annoying lad with the weird kid on Lost. That man probably sniffed his hair in his sleep. Michael Dawson was only called up to South Africa after Rio Ferdinand was injured in training. Good job, Pesky. That man would probably burn down his house trying to make himself a cup of tea. But Dawson wasn't a bad player. Wasn't a great player. He was alright. He got the shits that one time. He was okay. But look, England have usually picked good defenders, so I'll admit this one is a bit harsh. Martin Kelly, Euro 2012. Martin Kelly. Oh wow. Martin Kelly is the epitome of a footballing sigh. I think Roy Hodgson has now realised the error of his ways in picking Martin Kelly for Euro 2012, as evidenced by the fact that he doesn't even pick him for Crystal Palace. Probably because he doesn't want to finish bottom of the league. Kelly had played 12 times for Liverpool during the 11-12 season. He looked pretty shite in every game. He fluked his way into the squad, replacing Gary Cahill. What? Yes, okay, Cahill gets injured, but bring, I don't know, Rio Ferdinand, the guy who just played 38 games for a team who lost the title on goal difference. Bringing Martin Kelly was almost a sackable offence on the spot. He is about as composed on a football pitch as a 16-year-old is in bed with a woman. Lads, don't stick it in her ear. Stephen Warnock, 2010 World Cup. Come on lads, Stephen Warnock, his entire international career was one big cry for help from Capello. He went to the 2010 World Cup while Leighton Baines sat at home combing his hair and crying himself to sleep. Shaun Wright-Phillips, 2010 World Cup. It's funny, Shaun Wright-Phillips' relationship with Man City is pretty weird. Basically, it was like a well-groomed man with a fat bank account walking out on his wife who'd been knocking back vodka like it was apple juice and had love handles the size of Mexico before crawling back to her when she won the lottery, combed her hair and bought herself a pair of shoes. Yes, Man City were a broken club when he left them. George Samers should probably be serving time for impersonating a footballer. But in 2010, Wright-Phillips was the damaged soul. He was 1 year off ending up at QPR, and yet here he was at a World Cup. How could they not take Theo Walcott? Theo Walcott, 2006 World Cup. How could they take Theo Walcott? I don't know if Sven-Göran Eriksson was going through some sort of midlife crisis. I presume that it happened 2 years earlier when he was flirting with Chelsea and was running through secretaries like they were Tic Tacs, despite having the sexual charisma of an orange. Taking Theo, yes, Theo Walcott in 2006, it was insane. It's not even like he was the Ryan Sessegnon of 2006. Like, he'd scored 4 goals for Southampton as a teenager. He got his move to Arsenal in January, where he clearly wore his dad's shirts, and then was dumped in the reserves for about 6 months. He hadn't played a single minute of football in the top flight. And yet you're bringing this kid instead of Darren Bent, who'd scored 22 goals for Charlton that season. Nicky Butt, Euro 2004. Remember when Pelé told the world that Nicky Butt was the best player at the 2002 World Cup? I'm surprised that wasn't enough reason to stick the Brazilian in a home. Look, Nicky Butt was a decent player for Man United, but by the time 2004 came around, he was getting chucked out the window like a dodgy piece of wet haggis. Would Scott Parker not have been a better alternative? Jordan Henderson, Euro 2012. Controversial choice. Look, before everyone starts mailing me death threats, joke's on you, I don't have a post box. I am well aware that Jordan Henderson is a good player. I mean, now he's a good player, yes. I mean, this video is going out on a day where he's playing in a Champions League final, but back in 2012, he wasn't that good. He was playing like he had his shoes tied together. Honestly, the club even tried to swap him for Clint Dempsey at one point. Never mind that. With the way he'd been playing, they'd probably have tried to swap him for 3 Freddos and a half a pack of hula hoops. Jermaine Genius, 2006 World Cup. It's good that Jermaine Genius is going to be a pundit in Russia this summer. He can offer his expert analysis on what it's like to have as much impact at a World Cup as a soggy condom. Danny Welbeck, 2018 World Cup. The man is 27 years old and has scored less goals in the Premier League in the last 4 years than Saido Berahino. It's pretty shocking considering Saido has spent much of his time stuffing his face with Cheetos and just refusing to turn up for training. 15 league goals in 80 games for Arsenal, and he's going to Russia. What? Stuart Downing, Euro 2012. It makes sense for Stuart Downing to go to Euro 2012 if Roy Hodgson was preparing a recipe for frustration, disappointment and failed crosses. Stuart Downing had cost Liverpool 20 million the previous summer and had rewarded that faith with not a single goal or assist all season in 36 games, but yet he still gets into the Euro 2012 squad, which is a bit like having a son who fails every one of his GCSEs, eggs his next door neighbour, drowns the cat in a toilet, and yet you still take him out for Chuck E. Cheese. Darius Vassell. Taking Darius Vassell to an international tournament is like cutting your pizza with a chainsaw and half a bottle of whiskey. You know it's not going to end well for you or anyone in the vicinity. I mean, yes, England's striking options weren't great, but still. Jermaine Defoe, Alan Smith, Big Pete from down the pub. Take any of those options ahead of Darius and Vassell. Vassell ended up missing a penalty for Portugal and never played for his country again. That's essentially like turning up to a wedding, punching the mother-in-law and getting sick all over the wedding cake. Emil Heskey, 2010 World Cup. Now this was just a joke. I'm sorry, but how on earth did Emil Heskey force his way onto the plane to South Africa? He had scored 3 goals all season. Am I missing something? He played 31 games, 3 goals. No, it gets worse. He'd scored 24 goals in his last 161 games. This man is a striker. This man is a f***ing striker. That is horrific. I know I sound like his f***ing wife, but Darren Bent had scored 24 goals that season. And he gets left it all for Heskey. What? Oh, lads. And you were paying Capello $6 million a year for this. Seriously, like, Bendit scored 24 goals and yet he was left back in Sunderland for the summer. And lads, I have been to Sunderland. Being stuck there for the summer, I'd say Anne Frank would probably want to go back to the attic. Anyway, good old HITC was 32 years old and looked more of a threat to the KFC menu than he did any goalkeeper in the Northern Hemisphere. Aston Villa fans were practically petitioning for him to be locked in a suitcase and chucked in a lake with a big bag of rocks. So you could imagine their surprise when they saw him representing their country. Rickie Lambert, 2014 World Cup. This one is harsh because on merit, yeah, Rickie Lambert probably deserved to go. 27 goals in his previous 2 seasons for Southampton. It was really good. But then you remember, this is a 32-year-old Rickie Lambert who has spent most of his career in Leagues 1 and 2. Andy Carroll, Euro 2012. So what does Andy Carroll offer other than looking like a horse with a beard? The man has scored 4 goals in 35 games for Liverpool that season, displaying all the grace, poise and balance of a drugged up rhino. 4 goals. Steve Morrison scored more than that. Grant Holt scored more than that. Then again, he did score against Sweden in the group stages, so what do I know? Emil Heskey, 2010 World Cup. Putting him in once wasn't enough. Anyway, what do you think, lads? Have I left anyone out? Let me know. Have I been too harsh? Oh wait, no. I know what the response is.
Why don't you do a worst Irish player World Cup squad?
Phil Babb, alright? And you remember him? The lad who tried to impregnate a post? Anyway, remember what I said, I'm going to be cranking out World Cup videos every single day. It's gonna kill me. Anyway, enjoy the Champions League final tonight. I'm off to grab a drink because it is my day of birth. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.